Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave. It's me, Jordan, Taylor, as always. We're pretty stoked because we're recording on Wednesday, but today when this episode airs, Penguins rookie camp will have started. So we don't have anything to report just yet, but it's happening. We're getting there. The Penguins are opening up their rookie camp. They have 13 forwards, 9 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders. And we're just a week away from the start of regular training camp. So we're getting really, really close to the NHL season, and it's just super exciting. So, Taylor, who are some of the guys that you're most looking forward to seeing in rookie camp this year?
Yeah, so rookie camp. So this differs from development camp. You know, development camp was 2 months ago. Development camp is really like all the new faces, guys with a whole lot of Wilkes-Barre experience or really any Wilkes-Barre experience don't come to development camp. That's more about just getting acclimated with the organization and, you know, the front office getting to meet these guys. This rookie camp, this is going to be more of like a Wilkes-Barre influence, guys that have played there. I know last year they combined them, just called it prospect camp. I think I called it like my Christmas.
I remember that.
But it was like they combined it. So they broke it into 2 things this summer. And when you get divorced, you get 2 Christmases. So this is the second Christmas of the summer. But yeah, so it's a lot of Wilkes-Barre guys, some guys that were in Wheeling. Nobody who's playing in Europe this season is going to be there because their seasons are already underway. None of the college kids are going to be there because they're already in school. There are going to be some of the junior prospects who are going to be going back to junior. So Owen Pickering, their first-round pick, and then Nolan Collins, their 6th-round pick from this draft. They're both going to be there. They were also at development camp. Pickering is definitely one I'm excited to see just because, you know, he definitely stood out in the development camp setting against, you know, lesser experienced players. But, you know, how is he going to look in a rookie camp setting? And part of rookie camp is going to be the scrimmage in Boston and in Buffalo against Boston's prospects on Sunday. And I know something Pickering, because he's 6'4", but he's only 180 pounds. Because he grew from 5'7" to 6'4" in 3 years. So he's
insane.
Yeah, he's still filling out. It's not a concern at all that he's lanky. But because he used to be undersized, he's not a very physical player. But that is something that, you know, he's working to add to his game. So, you know, and we just saw him in the development camp setting. You know, there's no physicality in that. So, like, I'll be interested to see what kind of physicality we see from him in, you know, this in the scrimmage, at least in against the Bruins prospects. I feel like we should see a little bit of physicality. So yeah, he's probably one of the big ones. Another one I'm excited to see is Philip Lindbergh, the Penguins goalie prospect. They signed as a free agent last summer. He's a draft pick of the Wild, didn't sign with them, elected to go to free agency. And he was incredible to start the year in Wilkes-Barre. He in his first 4 games of his career, he was earned the AHL goaltender of the month for the month of October.
Nice.
Great numbers. And then in his 7th start of the season, he hurt his ankle. Initially, it seemed like they weren't really sure what it was. In conversations with like JD, the coach, you know, he had started skating leading up to the Christmas break, and then he stopped skating after that. And it's not that he re-aggravated it. You know, JD, he just told me like it was more a matter they learned more about the injury, and he was done for the rest of the year. So, I'm pretty sure he didn't have surgery. To my knowledge, he was just rehabbing it. He was at development camp. But he was a limited participant. He wasn't out there every day at development camp, and when he was limited in that capacity too, not really facing shots the same way the other goalie prospects were. But it seems like he's 100%. I'm sure we'll find out Thursday. But you know, we talked about it last week. There are a bunch of players in town for informal skates. The rookies have been having their own informal skates too, and I've watched some of those. And he was out there from the first day they started doing that, sharing the net equally with Tommy Napier was the other goalie who was there. Didn't seem to be limited at all. He seems to be moving fine, pushing off the post fine.
That's good.
So if he could be 100%, that's huge, because I mean, like, the Penguins goalie, the Penguins prospect pool is very shallow, but the goalie prospect pool is very good. Between him, you have Joel Blomqvist in Finland, who right now I'd say Blomqvist is their top goalie prospect, but Lindbergh, if he can pick up where he left off last season, he's right up there too. You have Taylor Gauthier, who they signed out of the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL. He's going to be at this camp too. I'd anticipate him starting in Wheeling just because of the number of goalies who are already going to be in Wilkes-Barre. Sergei Murashov, the 4th-round pick this year, he's not going to be at camp because he's Russian, but just another really good goalie prospect in the system. And then I mentioned Tommy Napier. He's on an AHL contract, but if someone's on an AHL contract, they treat him just like a normal prospect, like their own property. He's going to be at camp too. He was Wilkes-Barre's starter in the playoffs last year, and he was great. He was great after Louis Domingue and Alex Doria came up. So the future, the goalie prospect pool is pretty bright, and Lindbergh's definitely a big part of that. Excited to see.
That's super encouraging, yeah, because for a while it was looking like, okay, what is the goalie prospect pool like? What do we have here? What are we working with? As far as forwards and defensemen, who are you going to be keeping an eye on besides, of course, Owen Pickering? Yeah. Who else has kind of got your focus?
The defenseman I'm the most interested to see is probably Josh Maniscalco. They signed him 2 years ago out of Arizona State. He left us after his sophomore year, and he was, a really coveted prospect coming out of Arizona State. It was a big deal at the time. He had interest from other teams. The Penguins, they had to, make their pitches to him. Scott Young, the director of player development at the time, was using Marino as an example of, look at this other defenseman that came out of college and, went right to the NHL. That could be your path. Mario Lemieux made a pitch to him because Mario Lemieux's son Austin went to ASU and was teammates with Maniscalco. So Mario was very familiar with Maniscalco and was, he made a call to him to, try to talk him into signing with the Penguins. He chose the Penguins. Did not quite go the way of, John Marino. His first year, he was in Wilkes-Barre the full year, but he was a healthy scratch almost all year. I believe he only played 8 games. It was a shortened season. It was only a 32-game season, but so he really wasn't in the lineup at all. And, throughout the year, I would ask JD Forrest just kind of why is Maniscalco not in the lineup? It was a very deep, group of defensemen, but, JD just kind of made it clear that, it's a very competitive lineup, and Maniscalco just wasn't good enough at the time, and they thought that there were things he could work on in practice. So then you go into this past year, they did send him down to Wheeling this past season, and he was dominant. I mean, he finished offensively, he was their number 3 leading scorer. Obviously, he led all defensemen, and just put up, I believe it was over a point per game or right around then. And I mean, he was actually used in all, situations, power play, penalty kill. They really relied on him. But again, Wilkes-Barre had a lot of defensemen with, Joseph and Ricola, getting sent down, and, veterans like Fedun and Bartkowski. So there really wasn't an opportunity for him to come up. He did come up when they had, a COVID outbreak. He got in, I think, 2 games. And then he went back down when they got healthy again. But so he's entering the last year of his entry-level deal. He's really running out of opportunities here. I don't think a rookie camp is anything where anyone's going to prove themselves, or, roster spots aren't won and lost in rookie camp. It's not that deep, but he can definitely make a, good impression that would help his case. So, I don't think I wouldn't say he's like the top defensive prospect who's going to be here. He's definitely not. But he's, probably one of the most interested in, just seeing him. So,
yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we can talk a little bit about the forwards who are going to be at development camp or the rookie camp. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. And we are back. The Penguins also have 13 forwards attending rookie camp. From those 13 guys, who are the 3 or 4 that you're going to be paying the most attention to when rookie camp opens up?
Yeah, so the ones I'm going to be paying attention to, not necessarily the top guys. The top guys who I think are going to be there are Pustin and Hollander. But I don't think I'm going to learn a whole lot about them in a rookie camp that, we don't already know, because those 2 are the ones who are going to be the most NHL ready. I think both of them are NHL ready now. But the ones I think I'm going to follow the most, Sam Poulin, who, he's I know fans, you see people calling him like a bust, because he's a first-round pick. He hasn't come up yet. He's played 1 year. Not like, relax. He played 1 year, and the first half of the season, he was pretty rough. And then in January, a couple things happened that kind of led to him turning his season around. One, he got healthy scratched, and it was only 1 game. It happened, JD, he said Sam, he was making a lot of repetitive mistakes. The one real kicker was like a no-look pass up the middle. He turned it over in 1 game. I think it was against Hartford, and Hartford immediately scored, and it was a 1-goal loss. So it's like that might have lost them the game. He was healthy scratched the next game, so I think he kind of got the message. Also at that time, they acquired Alex Nylander and put him on Poulin's line, and they had instant chemistry. Nylander, he's not going to be at this camp, but he's going to be at training camp. He's around, but those 2 worked really well together. I don't know if it's because their dads are both whalers at the same time, and it's it's a genetic thing. I don't know, but they were really good together. And then they also moved Poulin to center. Poulin, he had played center before in juniors. But he had played wing exclusively in the first half of last year in Wilkes-Barre. And the move to center wasn't more so about like, okay, well, we see him long-term as more of a center. It was more like centers just touch the puck more, and making plays. And Poulin, his weakness was his decision-making, and they really wanted to accelerate that learning process. So it's like if they move him to center, he's going to have to make a whole lot more decisions. But then he actually was very good at center. So he was great the second half of the season. It's not surprising he didn't get, called up last season just because his first half was weaker. But coming into, I think this is going to be a big training camp for him. Maybe not necessarily rookie camp, but just, anything in rookie camp, we can see if this is more like second half Poulin or first half Poulin, that's going to be huge. And also, I'm curious, at least in rookie camp, what position they're going to have him play, because when he had all that success, it was as a center. But if a forwards, there are forwards who can play wing and center. But when the guys like that, typically when they get called up, they don't break into the NHL as a center. They come in as a wing and then eventually maybe move to center. Like Teddy Bluger did that. So I'd like to see Poulin at wing at some point, just to learn more. That success he had at center. Can he also play that well at wing now? Right. So he's one I'm excited to see. I know a lot of fans are. And then the other one is Legare. Legare, first half of the season, very much like Poulin. Repeated, mistakes. He wasn't producing offensively, I think, the way they thought he would. And then that same weekend in January, where Poulin was scratched, Legare was scratched another game in that weekend series. And then like Poulin, Legare kind of, the weeks after, you did see an improvement in his game, but then it's like he kind of regressed back to first half Allegri, and then in the last month and a half of the season, really he was a healthy scratch more often than not, which is disappointing. Again, not like way too early to call him a bust. Like, it's a 1 year. He was a 3rd round pick for a reason, I think. Same with Poulin. Like, Poulin was a late 1st round pick. Like, there's a reason these guys aren't, the top 5 picks who, do go to the NHL right away. Like, they obviously have weaknesses in their game. That's why Allegri was a 3rd round pick. It's not surprising that he didn't make it into the NHL in his first pro season, but this is going to be a big year for him. I don't know if we'll see him in the, if he does turn it around. I don't know if we'll see him in the NHL, just given the other options. But I think he's someone who has a lot to prove this season. Again, I don't think anyone's proving anything in a rookie camp. But
right,
he's someone I'm definitely interested in seeing too. A lot of the interesting forwards were guys who were at development camp, and this is going to be their rookie year. Like Reese Anson's, he's someone I'm really excited about. When I did my top 10 prospects article, I had him 10th. It's like they cloned Teddy Bluger. Like he's Latvian, very strong defensively. And so Bluger came out of college. Anson's is coming out of juniors. Anson scored more. It is the QMJHL, so I don't know if he has a more of an. It's hard to say whether he has more of an offensive upside than Teddy. But I mean, you listen to anyone in the organization talk about Anson's, and it's like they'll have you like believe he's like going to be a perennial Selke candidate for the next like 10 years. Like they love him.
Would not be a bad thing, yeah.
Right. Like his work ethic, he sounds so much like Teddy. Like Teddy is the guy who after practices is on the ice like half an hour after everyone left, and the only reason he gets off is because like the Zamboni's going to run him over. Like that's like Anson's. And it's funny, Anson's was in development camp. They used like the main locker room, and Anson's was in Teddy's stall. And I talked to him. I was like, "Do you know his locker you're sitting in?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "It's Teddy Bluger's," and he was like, "Wow." He was in shock. I know he said he was like really excited to meet Teddy in training camp. But I talked to Anson's. He started out the year in one junior team, and then he was traded to another one mid-season and ended up winning the Memorial Cup with that team. So I talked to the team that acquired him, their GM, just like, what made you go after Reese Anson? I expected it to be like a short conversation. I was on the phone with this guy for like 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Just like, it was just like him nonstop, him hyping up Anson's and just everything about him, like his, in the locker room, kind of like a quiet leader, just, and just, responsible hockey. Said he's never going to do anything erratic. Coaches trust him. They're always going to know what to expect from him, which is like Mike Sullivan, I think, is going to love Reese Anson's because, the players of the weaker defensive games, they're not going to, they don't get the call-ups. So that's kind of what he wants to do first and foremost. The ability to kill penalties if you're going to be in the bottom 6, Anson's does that. So he's definitely someone I honestly, the forward group, there's so many, like I could go down the list. I'm not going to go over all 13, but Sveikovsky, he really stood out in development camp. He's smaller. He's like 165 pounds. So like this is going to be his rookie year too. I don't think he's going to get called up because he needs to get bigger, but just so skilled, so fast. Really excited to see him. Jonathan Gruden is another forward who's like a Teddy Bluger clone, kind of.
Yeah.
He's a center. He's been in Wilkes-Barre the last 2 years. Again, very, very similar to Bluger. There's a whole bunch. We're gonna have stories on probably all these guys. So, stay tuned. But Pustin, I'm excited to see Pustin too. I know I said, we're not gonna learn anything about him, but I've been seeing Puustinen in these informal skates, and it's like I've never seen anyone so happy to be practicing. Valtteri
Awesome.
Puustinen. It's not that like he's like goofing off, but it's like you watch Valtteri Puustinen and it's like he makes it seem like there's nothing more enjoyable in the world than like running through simple skills drills, and it's just like infectious. It rubs off on the other guys on the ice, and Puustinen, when he came in last year, he really didn't speak English. But just watching him in these informal skates, he's like going up to everyone on the ice and like initiating conversations, and like Ty Hennis, the skills coach too, and he's talking to him and everyone's laughing. So I'm like, he's very, very funny. But I'm like, I'd love to know what he's saying. Like I think his English, I think, really got stronger over the course of the year. He's never done an interview in English. I don't know. They never made him available to us just because it wasn't that strong. But remember when he came up and made his debut, I asked Sullivan about that because during training camp, Sullivan said that, because Puustinen didn't speak English, they'd always just make sure another Finn was nearby to act as translator. So then when he gets called up mid-season, I asked Sullivan, like, did you have to enlist, Kapanen? And Sullivan's like, no, like, he just speaks English now.
Wow.
Yeah, so
what a skill. Jeez.
Yeah, and, like, you asked, like, when Wilkes-Barre practiced, they had a practice in Cranberry last year, and I spoke to a couple guys, like Joseph and Hollander, guys who don't speak Finnish. I'm like, what kind of guy is, Valtteri Puustinen? It's like, you ask them about Puustinen, and they all just, like, break into a smile, and tell them, like, how funny he is, and he seems like he has a really great personality. So that's something I'm looking forward to, too. Can we talk to him in the locker room? Does he know English? Because my Finnish is not that great. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome. This is going to be a really good opportunity for fans like me to get a glimpse of these guys before training camp starts next week. But rookie camp starting today, Thursday, September 15th. It's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to that. So follow along for coverage because Taylor's going to keep us all updated on what's going on over there up in Cranberry. Let's take one more break and we'll be right back. We are back. There was some moderate amount of news that went down this week, some with previous players, sort of, former players, current players, becoming former players. The Penguins offered PTO to Dominik Simon. He turned it down. He is no longer a Penguin. He is gone. Which, if history tells us anything, he might be back again. We may not have seen the last of Dominik Simon, but for now, he's not on the roster. Where is he going and what is he going to be doing now that he's no longer with the team?
Yeah, so they traded him to Anaheim in the Raquel trade. I want to go back because I think on the podcast when we talked about this at the time, I'm like, he'll be back. Like, Dominik will be back.
Yep.
He had 2 stints with the team, his first one, and then he went to Calgary for a year, came back, traded him to Anaheim. And the Penguins offered him a tryout contract, which would have let him come to, training camp. Maybe he earns a real contract out of that. He was considering it. I know he had another offer like that from another team, but he chose to go back to the Czech Republic, or Czechia, whatever we're calling it now. With the team he originally played for, he's playing Sparta. That's the system he came up in. That's where he made his professional debut. He last played for them 8 years ago. He signed a 2-year deal there. So 2 years, in the Czech league, you have to think, this might be the end of Dominik Simon.
Yeah.
With the Penguins, but you never know.
Never say never. It's seriously, they're that couple that always finds a way back to each other.
Like when this came out, and I'm like, we don't write stories for like every former player signing somewhere, but I'm like, I'm gonna write this, and I know the comments are gonna be a mess. Like, there's like an irrational hatred for Dominik Simon for what they were, they were paying him league minimum. The value they got out of that, I think, was very good. He's what he is. He's a bottom six player. At times he would play on the top line. He did not finish as much as everyone would have liked, but that doesn't mean that he never worked on the top line. The year that really stands out was 2018-19. With Gensel, Crosby. I can't remember all the wingers they had up there at the time, but if you that whole year, when Dominik Simon was on the top line, they scored more than any other winger at the time. And I remember I would write about that, and then people were like, "Well, then where are his assists?" I think people underestimate how many assists come on like power plays. When you look at even strength at the time, he had like the 5th most even strength assists on the team. So I know all the comments are about like analytics and like the eye test. And, people, I think those are goals. That's not analytics. Those are goals. It did work for some time. It did not work towards the end. That's all it was. I was reading like the replies I was getting on Twitter, and they're like, I never understood why Crosby, liked having him on his wings so much. Stupid analytics. And I'm like, do you think Sidney Crosby is pulling up Natural Stat Trick, the stat website, and being like, who has the best Corsi for percentage? I want that guy. No, Crosby knows what's happening on the ice and the little things that like players do that make his job easier and let him score and Gensel score more. So that's what that was. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the reaction, like I knew what kind of reaction that was going to get. But yeah, he's going to the Czech league. Best of luck to him there. But
good luck, dude. There was either an irrational hatred of him or an irrational love for him. Like it was just inexplicable, the effect that he had on Penguins fans and media across the spectrum. It was wild. But in other news, 2 other Penguins darlings signed elsewhere. Zach Aston Reese is going to Toronto, and Evan Rodrigues is going to the Avalanche. So Evan Rodrigues he became a free agent, could have signed with the Penguins, signed with Colorado for $2 million, which is what the Penguins are paying Jack Johnson. So that's a fun little tidbit that we like to bring up.
Every other week, we're just like beating the dead horse. The Jack Johnson buyout is up to it's like 1.9 and like 6-7 this year.
All the things they could do with that money.
That's Evan Rodrigues money.
Yep.
And Evan Rodrigues was 2 players over first half and the second half of the season. I think it was his first 33 games of the season. He had 30 points.
Yeah, it was insane.
He was around like a point per game, and then it's like he forgot how to score entirely.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened?
He had that hat trick in like January, I think, and then that was basically it. That was his swan song. Yeah. He was like, "All right, I guess I don't need to do that anymore."
I remember, because he was on the top power play for some time, and it's like his one-timers from the left circle, or it's like he's kind of Ovechkin-like, and he's really heating up around like All-Star time, and it's like, does Evan Rodrigues deserve to be in the All-Star game? And then second half Evan Rodrigues, it's like, what happened to him? But even given the way things went, I think it would have been worth the risk giving him $2 million. If you look at the other depth signings they made, Josh Archibald still makes no sense to me.
Why? What was the point?
Yeah, someone like Drake Kajula, he's probably gonna end up in Wilkes-Barre, but there's just so many of these depth forwards on the team. Like Ryan Poehling. I think Ryan Poehling is probably gonna be a good versatile bottom 6 forward. He might end up as a 13th forward, but he can play wing, center, whatever. But any one of these guys, I think I'd still rather have Evan Rodrigues. After seeing, I would have taken that gamble that You get first half Evan Rodrigues. I think what happened is he was hoping for more money based off of, what he did in the first half of the season.
Yeah, the success. Mm-hmm.
But the problem is with so many teams being cash strapped is that when you bet on yourself like that and you have, whatever number was in mind, if this goes on for long enough, teams just don't have that money anymore. Like, you can't wait around for Evan Rodrigues. So maybe if Evan Rodrigues' number was $2 million earlier in the summer, then maybe the Penguins would have done that and met that. But good for him. He ends up on the Stanley Cup champions. So
seriously, that's like best case scenario for him. He's on arguably the best team in the league and getting paid decent money for the type of player he is to do that. I don't know.
I'm gonna miss it was like a running thing. Every time he had a media availability, he ended it with like something like "have a safe drive home" or like "have a good rest."
Oh my gosh!
It was something different, like very pleasant. And,
wholesome.
Yeah. So that started, when he came on the team, and it was like, we would have a running thing with like the media, like, what's he going to say this time? When things got bad, like the second half, last season, it's like he kind of stopped doing that. So okay, he's not feeling great.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah. But like, do you remember like the back and forth with like him and Rust, hopping in on each other's availabilities? The first one was in Tampa, and Rust was talking, and so we're all gathered around Rust, and then you're just like behind us, like, who's your favorite player? And it's Evan Rodrigues, and Brian Rust was like Evan Rodrigues, and then they did it reverse one time when like Evan Rodrigues was talking in the media room in Pittsburgh, and so good guy, good for him.
Yeah.
But and Aston Reese, it's only a tryout contract he signed with Toronto. They have some depth forward battles too. I'm surprised he couldn't get more. Just he's a good defensive bottom six center. He can kill penalties. I'm surprised he only got a tryout contract. So
yeah, well, we'll see what he's able to do in Toronto. They may be desperate at some point come playoff season when they are inevitably staring down a first round exit again. But in other news, so Penguins announced their theme nights, and the Blackhawks announced that they're going to be retiring Marian Hossa's number during the game against the Penguins. So former Penguin, former Red Wing against the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Finals, went on to win it with Chicago. That'll be an interesting game to watch. And Taylor, you said before we started recording, that has potential to be Malkin's 1000th game. So that's going to be a big night if the stars align.
Malkin, so he's 19 games away. So if he plays in the first 19 games of the season, that's it. The following game is 3 days later at home against Calgary. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world for Malkin to miss a game.
Yeah.
Day to day, don't help these.
Yeah.
Don't help. It's day to day.
Yeah.
Let him have his night at home. I don't know, unless they want to upstage Marian Hossa a second time.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, but I can't believe Malkin's that close.
Wild. Yeah.
That'll be cool to have. If it does, I mean, they're going to have a celebration at home regardless, even if it does happen on the road, but that'll be cool. Because, I mean, Crosby's, 1000th game, no one was there because it was in COVID.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
And it'll just be cool to see, like, maybe what they do to honor him. Because, like, you remember Crosby, they all wear 87 in warm-ups, but I remember, Crosby, he has, like, a list a mile long of, like, pregame superstitions, but the one is at the same point in warm-ups, every warm-ups he drops at the same point in the ice and reties his skates. Remember, he did that in his 1000th game, and everyone dropped and did that. So I don't know. Like Malkin, he does the thing where he lays on his back in the face-off dot and like stretches his legs out. I don't know. Maybe everyone does that.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
I don't know what else Malkin would do, but yeah, it'd be cool.
Fun stuff.
I hope it happens.
Yeah.
Scratch him against the Blackhawks. Like the Blackhawks are going to be the worst team in the league this year. Like
so bad.
Let them sit. They're going to ruin Marian Hossa's night no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough go for the Blackhawks. But that would be awesome.
The Penguins night. So I feel like the past couple of years, all the theme nights have been the same. Like it's been 70s night, 80s night, 90s night, and Star Wars night, the 4 decades.
Yeah.
And,
pretty much.
Yeah. But so no 70s, 80s, 90s, which is great. Because I was getting bored of that. I get most fans don't go to every single one every single year. But there's a Pittsburgh night. Don't know what all that's going to entail.
Lots of Iron City probably.
Yeah. No more Star Wars. That's replaced superhero night, which I don't know. That'll be cool. More for the kids.
Yeah.
But the only decades night is 2000s night, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I can't believe that we're far enough removed from the 2000s that we can have a theme night.
Right.
Like it's stuck in a time capsule. That makes me feel kind of sick a little bit.
I think this
but it's cool.
Like it furthers it solidifies that the Pigeon logos are going to come back. Obviously the Pigeon came around in 93 and was around for the 90s, and it wasn't around for the full 2000s. They moved it to a shoulder patch at some point, and then they stopped wearing it entirely. I believe it was 2007. But when they do 90s night, it's all about the 2 cup teams. When I don't know, I think when you think of the most, we talked about it before, they didn't win anything in the Pigeon logo, but when you think of the Pigeon's more iconic moments, they did happen in the 2000s, like Mario retiring, and then the Kasparaitis school is the one. When I think of like the gradient, that those jerseys specifically, that's I think the most like iconic moment I think of. Kasparaitis' overtime goal. So I don't know. It'd be cool if the Pigeon is indeed the reverse retro. You wear that on 2000s night. Obviously, the 09 Cup happened in that too. So, they always show old highlights in that. I don't want to see any 09 Cup. I want to see like early 2000s, like the bad years. I want to see X.
Yeah, bring it back.
I want to see.
Oh God.
Ramsey. I want to see Rico Feta. I want to see all that on the highlights. Not necessarily. 09 Cup. Okay.
Remind us of the bleak years. We remember the Cup.
I want to see the bad stuff.
Yeah, bring it back.
Dick Tarnstrom, leading scorer Dick Tarnstrom. Give him his due.
His moment.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, but it's just another one of those things where they're announcing theme nights. It means that the regular season is that much closer to coming back. But we're kicking it off with rookie camp. Today we have training camp next week. Make sure that you're following us, whether it is on Twitter, wherever you're listening to podcasts, you're subscribed, whether it's on YouTube, you subscribe to our channel there because we're going to be bringing you all the information that you need this upcoming season. We drop new episodes every Thursday, so we will see you next week for another new episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave.